Apex fans, welcome back. Good to see you guys. We've got the recap of everything going on day number 1. I hold shift with Titterman, and there's a lot to talk about, so we're going to dig right in. Again, the format to start day number 1, we were going to go through all 4 group stages, and then we were going to also go through the entirety of winners round 2. The losers bracket will start in day number 2, so let's just hit it off from the top here, Titterman. Group A. I think this group went just about as expected. G2 came out looking absolutely solid, 0-0 in Mimu, of course, after they had played with Snipedown, continuing their success so far. But the biggest surprise to me was that Team Liquid White squad that looked really solid in their first couple of games.
Yeah, Team Liquid White came in with a fill-in from Mad Ruski, and they looked a lot better than I think both of us expected. And then Wyverns also, they turned heads. And they look like just how they do in Apex Pred lobbies, and just absolutely ran down the entire lobby with a 16-kill first round and a second place.
Yeah, pretty insane. Again, mostly everything went just about expected as you see it pop up. Fnatic NA played well, Luminosity, Complexity all getting through. I think the biggest surprise was simply the fact that we kind of had mentioned that Triumph was maybe an underdog, kind of dark horse team to come through. That would not be the case in Pool A. So top 10 will move on. Bottom 10 will be forced to go down to the losers bracket. We'd see more from those top 10 later on. Going into Group B, well, up top, 7-8 who? 2 straight wins with 24 kills between those 2 rounds. This is a team that I don't think any of us expected to see. The roster consists of Xania, Exins, and Esdesu, and this Russian squad looked like they were absolutely here to compete with the top.
I didn't even know who they were.
Me neither.
And EBC, who as well, they finished strong with 11-kill win in round 2, and they look fantastic. And then Secret also not being able to get it done with their last-second sub, because Yusuf couldn't make it, and that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, that was a pretty unfortunate spot for Team Secret. Again, you're talking about how Yusuf was one of the best shot callers and possible aimers in the game. Really, he's an absolutely nut player, not going to be there. And then also, just fortunately making it in is Ringers. Again, most of that consisting of the 100 Thieves team, or at least the used to be 100 Thieves team. So again, as we mentioned before, top 10 will go through. We'd see more of them. Bottom 10 would go down to the bottom. And again, this was kind of that pool that we mentioned was kind of up in the air. So as much as it was a surprise that 7, 8, 9 and EBC were up top, it's not that much of a surprise. Sentinels, MVP, NRG, Na'Vi, we expected those guys to be up there.
Yeah, it was anybody's to take there. And then Group C, Rogue looking just as good, if not better than I thought they would. Rogue taking a first and a second in round 1 and round 3, and they looked absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it was really strong, but not the highest average place. So number 2 on that list, Gamers Origin, with a 2nd and 2/3, accumulating a lot of kills along the way. Another team that we were not really talking about whatsoever previous to our setup. A team consisting of Sirius, Osnazani, and MPE. This team kind of came out of nowhere, and they looked really, really solid throughout their 3 games. The highest average placements, I think, I don't want to say this is 100% the case, but I want to say they had the best average placements in the group stage between all 4 groups.
I think they did as well. And then a lot of teams, I said some teams would fall flat, and we had a lot of teams that I didn't expect to fall flat. Nagano, Lazarus, and Tempestone all looked not so great, and all 3 were attending at the EXP Invitational, and Tempestone even taking a 5th place, and they couldn't even get out of Group C.
Yeah, 4 kills between all 3 of those teams. And again, this was a pool that we said was going to be difficult to get through. We expected Rogue to be there. We expected Counter Logic, FlyQuest, and Reciprocity, although for some of those aforementioned teams, not nearly as secure as we thought it would be. But also, how about this Windstrike team? They came in first in round number 2 with 10 kills, and they started to pop off pretty heavily as they looked really solid. Again, that roster consisting of 5Zoo, Rugby, and Desert UK, or Desert Tuck, whatever you want to pronounce his name, from Belarus. This was a guy that actually, he played a lot of Realm Royale just previous to the game essentially faltering out, and he was a kind of a big up-and-comer there, an insane aimer, and they looked really solid during their performances in Group C. But jumping over to Group D to finish things off, VP, we talked about them in brief when we were mentioning this team previously about how they've been a solid team, but they've been looking weak up until the event. That was not the case here, with a 2nd place off the rip and then a high kill round number 2 victory. Things looking good for VP to start the dominate. And again, we didn't talk about this team at all, but this is a roster that mentions, or that merits being mentioned. PJ, Noth, and Taylor, all 3 of them putting up high numbers today.
Yeah, they've been around in the scene for a long time. I didn't expect that from them, but they showed out. But the biggest showouts of Group D were TSM and Misfits. Misfits dropping a 20-kill win. That's insane. And TSM looking just as dominant as ever, and neither of them lost a step at all.
Yeah, and 17 kills for TSM in round number 3, just behind the pace that Misfits were able to set. Insane numbers there. And then kind of looking down the list, Team Liquid Blue technically tied for 13th, but the way that the tiebreakers work would keep them out of the top 10, so they will fall to the losers bracket. Definitely a big surprise there as far as who we expected to be up. And again, we mentioned the 2 Team Liquid squads. We anticipated that Team Blue would be far and ahead above where Team White is. That was not exactly the case at all. So after all of those games came through, just want to highlight some of the top 80 squads listed in power ranking fashion from 1 to 80. We'll do these after each team has played through this similar round. So tomorrow, after the losers bracket round 1 will be done, I'll post up on my Twitter what it looks like and all things like that. But in this top 20, 7, 8, 9 up top with an average score of 56 points. Well, average score is only one listing of it. Rogue and TSM is well joined by Misfits. All of those teams sitting in the top 6. An insane performance for all 4 of those guys to start their day.
All those teams dominated their pools, and there's really not much else to say than that.
FlyQuest, CLG, Complexity, all a little bit quiet, at least compared to what we had expected them to do. Maybe not so much for Counterlogic and Complexity, even though they are a lot of fan-favorite players that are playing for them. They have not really put up the performances that would merit the noise yet, but definitely that FlyQuest team starting off a little bit slow as well, sitting just in the 26th spot of this list.
Yeah, FlyQuest, I think it'll take a little while for them to get into land mentality, because this is still a new roster. They're about maybe a month old now. And I think as time goes on, they'll probably figure it out a bit better, but I guess only time will show. But Reciprocity and Athletico were both pretty absent in day 1. I kind of predicted this with Reciprocity. Without that Finnish duo of Mimu and 0-0, I didn't think that they'd be able to do near as well, and that was the case.
But even with Grego and Frex, you think that would still be, solid players.
Still think, but I think the Finnish duo is just otherworldly. I think they're a great talent.
And then to kind of bring up the rear in surprising fashion, again, Tempo Storm, we mentioned them. They're only in the 64th spot, only able to find themselves a single kill. And then Samsung, Morningstar, the Pittsburgh Knights, and Lazarus all coming up essentially empty. Not what you want to see. But again, we finished off the day. It was winners rounds 2 that we would go through. So both the A and B winners and the C and D winners would go up against one another, starting off with that A and B conglomeration. How about Gambit coming up with huge kills and throughout each of the rounds with consistent top 8 finishes? Secured them first, and this is a squad we didn't get a lot of time to talk about. We didn't really expect them to do as well as they have. Trico, Sunset, and Sign, again, huge performances as they finish up on top.
Yeah, I think they got signed about 2-3 weeks ago, and I kind of just expected them to be a mediocre team, but they completely proved me wrong, and they look fantastic. Another team that also looked fantastic that proved me wrong was Penta. I did not expect this team coming into it I expected it also a mediocre team, but they showed out, and they showed that they are in contention for that trophy on Sunday.
Yeah, they came up short just barely with 2 second-place finishes. Again, this roster consisting of Wacko, Araxi, and Nesh. Again, another team that I think we kind of, they're on the radar, but they're on the outer edges of it, not really sitting in the focus area until they were able to put up the performance that they did in, again, the winners round. Their first rounds were okay. They weren't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but this is where they really kind of showed up. 7, 8, 9 also still not going away. G2 Esports also still involved. That Wyvern squad that we mentioned, not able to get things done. Team Liquid White, like we had mentioned, they had a really strong first performance in their pool. Not so much the case here. As you see the top 10 again, we'll move on into that winners final. The bottom 10 will go down to losers round 2.
Yeah, Wyvern and Team Liquid White both placing really well in their groups and then completely falling flat. Team Liquid White even going as far as getting 19th after getting second in the first group.
And taking a look at our C and D mix-up, and this is, again, we said that both Pool C and Pool D were going to be some of the hottest groups to start with. You take the best of them, and now all of a sudden they're playing up against each other. So you got the likes of Virtus.Pro, TSM, Rogue, FlyQuest, Misfits, all going up against one another. And fortunately so for those aforementioned teams, they will all move on into the winners finals. But TSM, holy smokes, did they put up a masterful performance. A first, and a third in these 3 rounds, combining for a total of 28 kills. This is the best team in the game, just period.
After watching that, I mean, that is the group of death right there. Both groups of death combined, and they still absolutely dominated. And I think game number 3, they were screwing around the entire time and still got third. Like they were, I don't even know how you do that. And then Virtus.Pro, they're still showing out. They have continued to prove us wrong, and they'll be moving on to winners finals.
Yeah, a little bit of a Monka-esque fight that happened in round number 2 where they were able to clean up a fight, and then they were almost able to fend off the third party, not quite able to do it, but that first place finish in round 3 with 6 kills, getting them up there. And Space Station Gaming did something very similar, actually, as they were actually the team to come through and defeat Virtus.Pro very quickly before they started moving on in. It was essentially a 2v lobby as Slick was knocked down a couple of different times, but Bird and Logically coming up clutch at the end. Huge let's go moments for them because they had an 18th and a 17th finish. They would clutch things up the 2v lobby when there was like 15 teams left and finish second with 8 kills. An insane performance from them, but Reciprocity and Counter Logic not really showing up here as they'll actually be dropping down to the losers bracket, which again, we not necessarily figured that either of those teams would be major performers, but a little bit of a surprise to see them kind of go away so soon.
Yeah, Reciprocity, I don't know what's going on, but they seem to have a lot of like maybe communication issues right now. They just don't seem to be on the same page ever.
Yeah.
And CLG, I didn't expect it much better or much worse. That's kind of where they were supposed to sit for me.
Yeah, 100%. So taking a look as far as what your top 20 teams look like so far in the tournament, all of these teams were winners bracket squads, so you see them as they're listed. There are a handful of average scores and average placements and average kills for those teams after 2 games. But more specifically, some of the top statistics, again, Misfits, after that huge round that they had in Group D, they come away with the highest round score at 32 total points and the highest kill round at 20 kills per that round. The most deadly team for the day, though, would be Team SoloMid as they averaged 26.5 kills per drop.
Yeah, it's 9 kills per round.
It's wild.
Per stage, yeah.
Yeah, per stage.
I don't even know how you. I don't even know how you take 3 teams consistently. Don't even drop a member. Like the ability to 50-50 every single team and come out on top is insane.
Absolutely nuts. And then the best finisher, average placement per round, that would be the side of 789. They had an average finish per drop. Sorry, I meant to say Team SoloMid per actual round. They finished 26.5 kills per actual round. It was average place per actual drop. That would go to 789 at a total of 2.67 is where they would normally place. So above third place almost every time. Consistency is key, friends. We're going to see a lot of that and a lot of tests, I think, for some of these squads that found themselves in the losers bracket. Again, hitting on the format one more time for what happens tomorrow. It'll be the losers bracket, round 1, round 2, and round 3, as well as the winners finals coming through tomorrow. So again, like I mentioned, we'll do another little power rankings list. We'll also do the best of the day coming forward for you guys to kind of give you guys the top performers from day number 2. Of course, if you enjoy the content, make sure you not only follow both Tenderman and myself on Twitter, but also make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell to know when these Apex videos do come up live. Till the next one, hope you guys keep pulling it down. Later. Bye-bye.